Thank you for coming out. This is a fantastic turnout. We're thrilled.
Thank you.
My name is Andrea C.K. I am the coordinator of the Comedy Project Workshop. That is an open workshop on 4th Thursdays here at Lava from 4 to 6. And it's somewhat drop-in. You're welcome to join. And what has grown out of our efforts so far, we've been performing comedy together since late March. We're still getting our chops down a little bit, but we're really happy to present what we've developed so far to you, and you could be part of the future workshop or future shows. I want to thank Lava Center for hosting this event tonight and for initiating our hosting of the Comedy Project Workshop here. And so what you'll be seeing tonight is the Comedy Project Revue, CPR, which is very necessary and good for your heart health. I'll say a few sort of things that I have to say of orientation for us. There's toilets way back that way, and there's also some toilets just behind, well, you'll see they're labeled. They're labeled to the right over here, and that is upstairs. That's on another floor.
I'm
yeah?
sorry, the mic doesn't seem to be working.
Okay.
Switch.
Let's make sure it's turned on. Is that a little better? I gotta really be honest. Thank you for signaling that. Thank you. In case of an emergency, y'all follow Charlie out that door, and y'all follow Vanessa, and she'll take you to the dungeon, which leads to another exit. Please silence your devices. Gifts to Lava Center are welcome, as well as participation of all kinds. Please feel yourself welcome here. Lava is only 5 years old and already has earned a name for itself of being a talent incubator with writers group, playwriters groups, musical groups, comedy groups coming here to create together. So this comedy show is happening on unceded Tuck land. And for myself personally, I'm grateful that we have the wisdom and the presence of Indigenous people in our area. Is that Joanne? Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, thanks for coming. Such terrible. Okay, so the doctors are in, and we brought the best medicine. Comedy helps us all come together in a joyful release. Which reminds me of some other things about coming together in a joyful release. You know, as a rabbi, I always want my people to come together and finish together in joyful release. The satisfying part of being a prayer leader. What were you thinking I was going to say? You guys, speaking of that, what you're going to hear tonight is PB. Have you heard of that rating?
Peanut butter.
It's similar to PG. It means post bar mitzvah. So 13 and up, you can tell jokes that where the body parts are correctly identified but not prurient. So it's, I hope you're all comfortable with that. There's so many different kinds of jokes. There's something really funny about comedy. You got it. That was good. Yeah, that is a whole joke. There's something really funny. That's a setup. About comedy. That's a punchline. I have another one for you, really short. I didn't write this one. Take it home with you. You're not stealing my material. If I had a nickel for every time I forgot something, I'd be wondering, where did all these nickels come from? Comedy has a reputation for being maybe the bastard child of the arts because it can be crass, it can be cruel, it can target out groups, it can be stupid, and you know, potty jokes and very crass material. But it can be unifying and it can be very freeing. Do you remember your first fart joke? I felt so mature when I would say words like poop and fart. It was transgressive. It was a little bit bad, you know. I felt like a teenager with a Marlboro, you know, the maturity. But we told the terrible fart joke, and we took away its power to embarrass us. So go ahead, you guys. It's a pretty old crowd. People will think your neighbor did it. There's something, pause for laughter, sorry, I'm doing this.
It was you, wasn't it?
It was okay before I started that.
There's something kind of brave about comedy. Maybe not first responders brave, but like lifeguard brave, maybe. Because it takes courage to see ourselves as we really are. And it does take courage to see the human condition as it really is. But to be able to be with that and find something funny, it means we've got a sense of perspective about it. We're a little bit above it and not totally in it. And this is really helpful in our times. There's something about getting a joke. If we all get a joke, we're together. And we're seeing the same thing, and that creates a sense of unity, which is really helpful in our times, part of the medicine. And there's something insightful about comedy. A jester, a court jester, and a political satirist can speak truth to power. And at many points in history, their heads were not cut off. I'll tell you something, an Albert Brooks joke at this point. What did he say? Looking for humor in Saudi Arabia or something along these lines. And he was interviewing, very traditional Muslim woman for the role of his secretary while he was over in Saudi Arabia. And she started to get a little suspicious about him, the potential hiree, and she said, "Are you a Jew?" And Albert Brooks said, "Not right this minute." There's something transformative about comedy. That's how I experience it. When we did our first workshop here, I said, "What brought you here? Why do you love comedy?" And more than one person said, "Comedy saved my life." So for my set, I have a set later on, I'll be telling you some of the many layers of manure that have been laid onto my life and the beautiful truth and insight and yummy fruits that are growing there now. I have had the requisite amount of tragedy and therapy to be good at this. Do you know what the difference is between therapy and comedy? Who gets paid when I talk? It used to be my therapist, but tonight I expect to earn upwards of $11. Be sure to tip your waiter. I'd like to bring to the stage now a very funny woman, a friend of mine who's a wonderful musician, a great storyteller, a singer, and what are your other wonderful qualities?
I know you.
I actually have them written, I have them written down. Musician, oh yeah, your songs are pithy and meaningful. So please welcome to the stage Joni Schwartz.
Sorry, I have a knee issue, so I'm not a stand-up comic. I'm a sit-down comic. This is a first for me, only because I do often sing, and I'm not going to sing till later, but I'm going to start off with what I think might be funny. I hope you do too. But I had done a little research to make sure that I got what comedy was. I've been to many shows, I watch it on TV, and the odd thing is I actually got my master's in social work school, and my thesis was on what makes people laugh. So I actually feel like my education has now been helpful to me. But the one thing I noticed about a lot of comedians is they put themselves down. It's very self-deprecating. Being a lesbian and Jew and fat, I have a lot to chew on. There's a lot I could talk about. I'm going to try to stay away from putting myself down too much, but it's really all in the just to make you laugh. The other thing I noticed was, in fact, we had gone to Turner's and saw some comedy a few weeks ago, was the overuse of the F word, which is remarkable to me because it has so many meanings now. This guy used the F word 6 times in one sentence. And it was very, I think grammatically it was probably fine because it was a noun and an adverb and an adjective and a verb. And I thought, well, that's very creative of him, really. But I don't like that word. Being fat, that's my F word. I also have a fused knee and a fractured ankle. So I'm all effed up. Thank you. I think that's the punchline. But one of the things about gaining weight as a kid, my mother was very much about being perfect, and I proved to her I wasn't in her eyes, but I can still hear her say to me, watch your weight. And so I put it all up in front where I can like look at it. But I don't really think that's what she meant. And it happened to be, I'm walking down Main Street here, and I don't know how many of you hang out in Greenfield, but when Wilson's was open, the whole front showcase there was all mirrors, like top to bottom and across the whole back. And I felt like somebody was following me. So I finally looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my God, it's me back there. Anyway, you could laugh at me, I don't really care. My ego is so big. I'm just kidding, it's really not. But it's really kind of an opportunity to just try to make people laugh. And when I perform as a singer, I find that now I'm telling my stories longer than the song is. And I said, oh, let's just forget about the music, I'll just tell stories. And I didn't write anything down because I thought I could just like shoot from the hip. And I just forgot what the rest of my thing was. But I'm gonna take it from you. What do you want to hear about?
Growing up in Brooklyn.
Oh, that was really quite an experience. I loved living in Brooklyn, but a tree grew in Brooklyn and it wasn't on my street. And I never quite was sure what it was. So I went to college in Vermont. There were a lot of different trees, and it was a big education to me, and it was a beautiful change, and I knew someday I'd get back to this area. But now that I live here, I actually sell real estate. I'm not going to plug myself. Most of you have bought houses from me, I think, here anyway. So, but I had an experience last week. I took a woman out looking at houses all day. It's exhausting. I don't know if you've been in that position as a realtor, or as a buyer, or seller, or whatever, but it's a long day. And that person, after the day, we went out to dinner, and we sat there at the wagon wheel, and it took her 22 minutes to order dinner. Now, I thought, she's never going to buy a house. She can't even figure out what she's going to eat. And then the week before that, I took out this couple, a heterosexual couple, a man and a woman. The woman wanted a tiny house, and the husband wanted a big house. Maybe he was compensating for something, I don't know. But they ended up buying a tiny house. And I said to the wife, I said, how'd you convince him? And she said, oh, he thinks his penis looks bigger in the house. The tiny house. Anyway, I'm not allowed to say that word, I don't know. But I'm going to end with that. And I'm going to sing you a song that I wrote. Maybe I'll stand for this. Oh, how do you like that? Ooh, can you understand me? And if not, you can stand up and hear me. This is a song I wrote a long time ago. And it's called When in Doubt, Take a Valium. And if there's a point at which you want to sing along, the chorus is really easy. At some point I will probably update the words to When in Doubt, take a Wellbutrin or a Prozac. But there's lots that rhymes with that too, I suppose. But it starts like this. I tried to stop smoking, so I gave up cigarettes. But in just a few days, I was anxious and depressed. Pretty soon I found that I was sucking on my thumb, but that ain't socially acceptable, so I took some Valium. Oh, when in doubt, take a Valium, a Valium, a Valium. When in doubt, take a Valium, it'll make you feel just fine. I bought some marijuana from a guy from out of town. I thought I'd have a party, and I'd pass the grass around. The guests arrived, the grass did not, and all I had was rum. But that ain't socially acceptable, so I passed out Valium. Oh, when in doubt, take a Valium, a Valium, a Valium. When in doubt, take a Valium, it'll make you feel just fine. The holiday time had begun, the relatives arrived. I started in asking when I would be a bride. I wanted to shout out that I was gay and having fun, but that ain't socially acceptable, so I took some Valium. Oh, when in doubt, take a Valium, a Valium, a Valium. When in doubt, take a Valium, it'll make you feel just fine. I had a date with someone who was real good for my head. We spent the evening talking, then we finally went to bed. We made love for an hour and I found I couldn't come, and that ain't socially acceptable, so I took some Valium. Oh, when in doubt, take a Valium, a Valium, a Valium. When in doubt, take a Valium, it'll make you feel just fine. Oh, when in doubt, take a Valium, a Valium, a Valium, a Valium, a Valium, yum, 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 Valium, a Valium. Just take some Valium, ba-dum-bum.
The next artist is a friend of mine, Marion Kellner. She's a very talented writer and poet who seasonally vacations to and escapes from Florida in a reverse migration, like a confused turkey vulture. Marion.
Well, my twin sister, Morgan, is a snowbird. And I remember her casually mentioning that Florida has an edge. That's all she told me. But in my mind, I had always thought of Florida full of retirees sitting around a pool, maybe playing cards, a round of tennis, something like that, very relaxing. And I found out there was a flight from Bradley to West Palm Beach for under 3 hours. You get on the plane, you're there. All of it sounded beautiful on a cold Massachusetts afternoon. So I booked a flight, headed down to Bradley, only to find my plane to be delayed and delayed and delayed. So when we finally got on, it was 10:30 at night, and a snow and ice storm had arrived about an hour earlier. When we finally boarded, the doors shut, a woman had a very bad feeling about this flight, and she insisted that she would let off the plane. And they did let her off the plane, and then the door shut again, and we went over to the de-icing area, got de-iced, and headed out into the blackest of nights and the windiest of storms. Everything was okay until about halfway there, when we hit such turbulence, the plane dropped, and we were all lifted off of our seats because of the suddenness, and a collective scream filled the airplane. And the woman next to me reached for her Valium, and another man reached for the barf bag, and slowly people calmed down, and things were okay for a while. And then as we approach Florida, the pilot gets on the air, and he says, well, there are tornadoes to the west of us, and there are severe thunderstorms to the east of us, but we have a very small window of opportunity to land. We'll be landing in about 15 minutes. The tension level in the plane rose a bit, but we did land. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I got a rented car. I had never been there before, and somehow I found my way to my sister's condo. And the second the door closed behind me, the storm hit, the palm trees were lying sideways, the wind was blowing the rain was pelting, and then everything became calm. And the next morning was a beautiful, perfect Florida morning. Sunny, warm, calm. And so we head to the beach, the thing I had been looking forward to for so long. And we get there, and there's a big sign. Danger. Man of war. Strong riptides. Waves breaking on shore. We advise you don't swim. But we went in anyway. We then take our lives into our hands and decide to take a bike ride in the nearby park, which has a big lake. And the park is beautiful and the path is paved. And we're riding along, it looks like New England lawns. And I see a sign over by the water, and I think, oh, I wonder what the sign says. And so I turn my bike onto this beautiful lawn, which is not a lawn, but a sand trap. And what happens is my front wheel gets pulled so much to the left, I go flying off of my bike, land, all the wind is knocked out of me. I'm lying on the ground, doing a body check first. Am I alive? Yes. Anything broken? No. Can I breathe? Yeah, I can breathe. And I look up, and the sign says, beware, alligators. So thinking we'll do something that nothing possibly could go wrong, we decide to go and visit the manatees because it's getting cool. And where do we go to find them? Nuclear power plant. The next day, we go to the nature preserve, and it's very, very beautiful. But what I get to witness at this nature preserve is a great blue heron who has grabbed a 6-foot snake by the neck, and they're wrestling with each other, and the snake has curled her tail around the vegetation so it won't be pulled up and slurped down to the heron's neck. And I see another long-beaked bird stab a fish and then throw it back into its mouth. And then I see an alligator sort of floating quite peacefully toward a group of young, cute little ducklings. The next day, we decide, okay, we'll put ourselves into the hands of a guide. I mean, the guide will protect us, right? So we go over to a different nature preserve, and we meet our guide. It's sort of a group of maybe Midwestern families. You know, we're all sort of timid and very attentive, and the guide seems good. We're about 5 feet down the path when this young woman with red-purple hair jumps in front of our guide and takes over. We walk a few more feet and someone from our group sort of timidly asks, is there anything we need to be afraid of in here? And the woman with the purple hair says, yes, right at your feet. Right now there are fire ants. And if these fire ants climb up your leg and bite you, it will be excruciating pain. She then bends down and picks up the biggest fire ant she can see, the guard for the whole anthill. And she's looking at it, and she says, you know, it's interesting. Parasites can enter an ant's body and then explode out of the ant's head. We walk a little further, and this guide jumps off of the path, disappears, comes back with a little curly-tailed lizard. And the lizard's in her hand looking at us. We're looking at the lizard. Shoot, big eyes. And the guide says, this is an invasive species, and we were told to kill it on sight. But I won't do that. And there's a collective sigh of relief among the group. We're starting to get a little edgy ourselves. And she puts the lizard down. We walk a little further. We come to an area where everything is sort of dead. And there's a vine, a yellow-orange vine with no leaves over all of these dead bushes. And the guy sort of gleefully says, "That's the love vine." And it's named that because love can strangle and kill. I'm really beginning to enjoy this guided tour. It is getting really absurd. So I get into it and I tell my sister, well, watch out for those berries. They can pop off the bush and they'll blind you. And the turtle shells, they can explode and knock you over like a manhole cover. We proceed a little further and we climb to an elevation of about 10 feet, which is high for Florida. And we're looking out over the ocean, very idyllic, beautiful, peaceful. Pelicans are silently flying above us. And the guide says, if you're swimming and there's a shark underneath you, and the shark looks up and sees your silhouette, that shark's going to think you're a seal. And it's going to go for your midsection. But if it gets your arm or leg, don't worry. It won't keep feeding because it will realize you're not a seal. Are there any questions? No one dared to ask a question. We all huddled together and make our way back to the nature center, air-conditioned civilization. The next day I leave, come back to icy Massachusetts, where nothing moves. There's nothing to fear but ice itself. And I survived.
You're very honored. Our next artist is a comedian, a stand-up named Kate Lewis. And this is Kate's first time performing before any kind of audience outside of her mirror. Kate, I found out today, is 3% Jewish, and there's a prayer, I think that's certified. And so there's a prayer that Jewish people say when they're doing something for the first time. So we're going to say 3% of the prayer. Baruch. Let's keep it going for Kate Lewis.
Hi, everybody. B15. B. Bingo! 15. You got it over there. Where am I? My name is Kate Lewis, and thanks everybody for coming. And I hope you guys are having a good time. I sure am. Oh, I sure am. You have to, yeah. Okay, so I just want to tell you that I'm going to disclose something to you right now that I am an alcoholic and a drug addict in recovery, but I had a long past with that. And when I was writing for this bit, I kind of walked down memory lane a little bit. And my mom and dad, Ron and Joanne, they didn't like each other. Ron drank too much and Joanne didn't like it. So they fought a lot. And one Sunday afternoon, I was over there and they were fighting as usual. And they were throwing stuff at each other. They like to throw food at each other, hit each other, degrade each other. It's really ugly stuff, you know. And then I heard nothing, and then Joanne says to Ron, "Are the socks on this afternoon?" You know, when I was a kid, I didn't know I was an alcoholic yet, you know, and I started dating, and the guys that I dated back then, you know, when I was in my teens and early 20s, they were really good, normal guys, you know. One today owns his own business, and another one is a CEO of another business. And the guy that I dated right before I got sober, at the end of my drinking, entertained aliens in his kitchen. Yeah. So, you know, I got dressed up to get messed up. And, you know, I found out that I was allergic to alcohol. I woke up in handcuffs. I broke out in handcuffs. Sorry. I broke out in handcuffs. Or I woke up in spots also. And I woke up in Boston, Philadelphia, New York. Yeah, so I'm blocking a little bit, but that's okay. Oh, yes, and so while I was still drinking, I thought that I had some kind of boundaries, you know, and in order, I would not date you unless you had a bag of Coke and a heartbeat. And the heartbeat was optional. So my friend Allison and I went to the zoo one day, and the zookeeper came up to us and said, you know, don't go near that gorilla's cage. He is having a bad day. He's agitated. Of course, I'm defiant. So I go up to the gorilla cage, and the gorilla grabs me and beats me and has his way with me, and then I leave the zoo in an ambulance. And my poor friend Allison, she was like, "Where's Kate?" You know, she hadn't seen me in a few days, so you know, she came to my apartment and she knocked on the door, and I answered the door. She goes, "Kate, what's going on with you? You know, I haven't seen you in like 5 days." And I just looked down and I said, "He doesn't write. He doesn't call." So I'm glad to see everybody here, and thank you for the time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We will now have a symphony, an improvised symphony. We have behind me 4 very talented artists. Would you take a bow for the audience, please? But they have unusual instruments. Their instruments are their emotions and their rantings. And exactly what they're going to rant about will be up to you. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
Right. I knew you were somehow, I could tell. Quite a good energy in here, by the way, ready for a symphony. Now, think about things that mildly annoy you. You know, like a hangnail, or forgetting a password, and you know they take you to that loop, and you have to get, traffic. Anyone else think of any other things that mildly annoy you?
Being on hold.
Being on hold, yes. For
Mosquito
hours, yes.
Mosquito at 1 a.m.
A mosquito at 1 a.m. Yes.
Snoring partner.
A snoring partner, good. Keep them coming.
Hair in the drain.
Hair in the rain.
Congress.
Congress. Now, you want mildly annoying.
Potholes.
Who?
Potholes.
Potholes. Oh, yes, exactly, potholes.
Toast crumbs.
Toast Toast crumbs.
Toast crumbs.
Toast crumbs.
It's an issue.
Because they collect at the bottom of the
they're on the
toast
counter.
crumb and you pull it out. Yeah, okay, I get that. What else?
We're going to talk to a live human being, an insurance company or utility.
It sounds like you've been there. Yeah, the insurance company, and you're struggling to wait for an actual human being. And nowadays, you don't know if they're actually human beings. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to conduct our safety. And I'm going to start with each one of our artists, and I am going to get what their rent is.
Staying on hold.
Toast crumbs.
Passwords.
Wet socks.
Thank you.
Wet socks.
Wet socks, thank you. Wet socks. Now, we're going to hear their wonderful sound, but there's a refrain where a chorus will come in. And guess who the chorus is? You are the chorus. So I want you to make a mildly annoying sound, something you say, you do when you're annoyed, like, oh. Now, when I say 3, I want you to, oh, give me that sound. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes, exactly. I can feel it. All right. Now, so when I point to you, that's what you're going to do. All right. So we will begin. I don't have one of those. Good.
Are you kidding me? My socks were dry like a second ago, and then all of a sudden, just a bit of moisture, just right there on my sock.
You know, you used to get to just have one password for everything and then change it every year or so, but then there was that whole fear of like, you know, you'd have a password and then somebody would hack it, and then once they got that password, they would have access to everything, so then you couldn't have the same.
Toast, everybody loves toast. Why does my husband eat toast in bed and leave crumbs that I have to sleep on?
On hold? I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience, ma'am. I don't have any patience.
You ever just walk along and you're walking in the kitchen, you got nice dry socks?
Then you had a password structure.
Aren't there some kinds of breads that don't crumble?
Only 20 more minutes, ma'am.
And then the socks,
well,
like,
the
just...
password structure, and you could have it based on the domain of the thing, and then it was
So
different, but
soft.
then you get to the...
I have scars on my back.
and you know, you go to these websites and they all have different requirements for passwords now. So like some you need capital letters and special characters, and some are like, I was okay with like 8-character minimum, but then it was 10-character minimum, and then, you know, and they just say that it doesn't actually matter because the hackers will get your information anyway. It doesn't matter what your password is.
On hold? I've been on hold half my life.
And you just got the moisture on every sock! Everywhere!
I first started, I thought maybe I could eat the crumbs. Now, I tried it, and there are millions. There are millions, I think.
I'm still holding. You asked me to please hold, and I'm polite, and I'm please holding. Enough.
You're done.
So that sketch group was Henry Balzerini, Shannon Shabbat, Vanessa Query, Marianne Counter, who you saw before, and Joni Schwartz. Our next artist is also a storyteller. She is the snowbird, who is a sister of the confused turkey vulture. We're going to bring up at this time Morgan Counter. Come on up.
Hi, everybody. I just want closer. Is this good?
Yes.
Okay.
But stay there.
Everybody, I just want to vouch that what my sister was saying was all true. Because everybody said, was that really true? It was true. So I'm going to tell you three short stories that are true also. And this one's called Paul's Journey. So for many years before Paul died, he took great pleasure in his little garden, which overlooked the beautiful mountains of southern Vermont. In particular, Paul vigorously nourished his tomato plants with great love, compost, and an abundance of hope that he would win first prize at the Rutland County State Fair. Every year he would pick a beloved tomato and wrap it up in paper and straw and put it in a box and submit it to the fair. On occasion, Paul would place second, or sometimes third, but he had never won the coveted first place blue ribbon. When Paul died in June, his family ceremoniously placed his ashes in the garden surrounding one tomato in particular, one plant. This was more of a gesture of love than anything else. But by the end of the summer, the plant had one gigantic, beautiful, red, perfectly round big boy. His wife, knowing how Paul loved entering his tomatoes at the fair, gently picked the sun-warmed tomato off the vine and carefully placed it in a slated wooden box, which he had lined with straw and paper, and submitted it to the Rutland County competition. As you probably have guessed, the tomato won first prize, and Paul had transformed into a blue ribbon tomato. Paul, you are a first-class man and an extraordinary tomato. The second story is called Chinook, and that was the name of my dog. Chinook was my beautiful, huge, and I mean huge, when I tapped my shoulders and she stood on her hind legs, we were nose to nose, and I was taller then. She was huge, she had long white hair, she had big brown eyes, long eyelashes. She was a movie star on a leash. But what was unusual was that Chinook never, ever barked. For the 13 years she was with me, Chinook was silent. I tried and tried to train her to bark, to prevent her from scratching the door. In desperation, I even asked my good-natured friend to get on all fours outside the porch door as I commanded, bark, bark. My friend barked over and over again as Chinook quietly watched. I then let my human crawl into the house. I scratched her behind the ears. I said, good girl, good girl. Gave her a doggy treat. But Chinook never imitated her or uttered a sound. Well, not until one glorious night when a group of us back to nature women went up to a hill to howl at the rising full moon. And we began to spontaneously howl. And then Chinook magnificently threw her head back and began this eerie, wolfy, "Ow! Ow!" And just so you can experience what this is, because many people have not howled at the moon, I'd like you to join me in a howl. It was great. Well, that was the first and the last time that Chinook had anything to say. Chinook died in 1991, but she still appears to me in my dreams. Recently, I dreamt she was lying on her back, and I was scratching her belly, talking to her the way humans talk to animals. And I said, itchy? And she said, itchy. And I replied, you incredulously, I replied, you can talk? And she said, yes, I can. And that was... There are many stories about Chinook. She also got on TV because she was just so amazing. And she did 2 commercials, and but those are stories for another time. So the third story is, since Marion told one about me, I thought I should respond in kind. And
Stay on mic.
oh, sorry. So when we were younger, we both were in the same Spanish class together. And Mrs. Moreno, she was our Spanish teacher. She was very small and petite and wore very tight black clothes and had very big red lipstick and was very, very, very serious. And Marion and I had a pact that when she was up at the blackboard, and if she didn't know Spanish, the phrase, she would look at me in the classroom and I would mouth the words to her. And she did the same for me. So I was up at the blackboard one time and I hadn't done my homework, and I looked to my trusty twin to give me the answer, like to mouth it out in Spanish so I could write it on the blackboard. I was all poised to write. And instead of her giving me the answer, she goes like this. And there I am, just very calm, and suddenly I have crumpled to the floor, laughing hysterically, unable to contain myself. I'm sent back to my chair, which unfortunately is right next to Marion, and I couldn't contain my laughter, so I started to snort. And I got sent out in the hall, and Marion thinks this is very funny that I'm snorting, and nobody in the class is saying anything, and the teacher is not saying anything, and Marion starts to snort. So there we both are snorting, both getting sent out in the hall. And I couldn't believe that she did that to me. I just couldn't believe it. So years later, I asked her, I said, why did you do that? And she said, I wanted to see what you would do.
Very good sound effects, don't you think? Yeah, it's an artist for you. Okay, now you're in for a real treat, because I'm going to bring up on the stage right now the amazing, the special, the memorable Zubina Ganubi. Please welcome Zubina Ganubi.
There'll be birds singing everywhere, and the wind will be blowing through your hair. I'll look into your eyes and wait for the prize, your lips kissing mine with a love that is real, and your look so young and fair. On the day we fall in love, you and me. On the day we'll fall in love, you'll see. There'll be rainbows reaching across the sky, and we'll both be so happy, we'll cry. We'll walk hand in hand, in snow or in sand, whether roses are blooming or snowmen stand by. Time will stop for you and I. On the day we fall in love, it will be on the day we fall in love. You'll see. And if the lines that I say fall apart, it's because I won't know where to start. But you'll understand when I say them to you, because they'll come straight from my heart. On the day we fall in love, you and me, on the day we fall in love, you'll see. You'll see. You'll see.
What did I tell you? Zubino Ganubi, come on. Now I'd like to bring up the freshest new face in geriatric comedy, Andrea C.K. Do you know what it means in comedy when you work blue? Do you know? It means when you're crude or sexually explicit. And but I'm a rabbi, and I cannot work blue. So today's material will be light blue, aquamarine, something in that range. We had a really long conversation about keeping this show family friendly, and I could really see both sides. But it depends on whose family you're talking about. If it's like your family, that's one thing. But if it's the family, that's completely something else. I started my life out as a gangster's daughter, Big Al's kid. I was a mafia mal. As a kid, my dad taught me how to break into cars, how to handle a police stop, how to get free parking at a hospital. The way to do that was to make your teenage daughter pretend that she had run into false labor. Me being the conniver there. And get a good price on stolen goods. Now, I have a sub-joke here. And the sub-joke is the correct way of saying get a good price on stolen goods is to Jew down the fence. Whoa. Do you know what a fence is? It's a purveyor of stolen goods. And to Jew down is to aggressively negotiate for a better price. That was actually a verb that I did not hear until I was 28 years old, even though I learned how to do that at 17, which is ironic. We were under FBI surveillance one summer, and it wasn't because of the 6 teenagers, all friends of mine, who were laid out in the living room in various states of unconsciousness and alertness. No, the cleaning lady busted us for that. But the FBI was there for my dad. Dad had gotten a black box so he could make free phone calls a couple of years before everyone could. He had a black box. It was a satellite system, a thing foreign governments were trying to get their hands on. And the FBI was wondering why Big Al wanted one. The answer is that so he could call Nanny Ethel in Dover, Delaware on Sunday mornings, which before he got the black box would cost 7 cents a minute. This was a man who owned a gay bar and a restaurant and a strip club, and one of the cash registers in his establishment ran all night long collecting cash with no tape, no record of what was taken in, and all that money went into a safe in our basement. We could afford the 7 cents. It wasn't out of reach for us. But I guess I never heard about it again. Dad ditched the black box, and I never heard about it again. I guess people in the mob were early adopters of technology. We did some money laundering too. the basement flooded. And all the $100 bills down there got very, very moldy. So, you know, the mob, family, everyone in the family got together and did money laundering with soap and abrasive. And then we strung all the Benjamins out on clothing lines all around the basement. So Cohen, Andrea Cohen, that was my birth name. But as a Cohen, even though we were a little dirty in the mob, we were the 1% of Jews in the Bible. That's the top class there. Yeah, we were the priestly class, and we got free housing in the temple. People fed us. All the Israelites would bring us their fattest sheep and their first fruits and their wine and grain, everything. We had to share some of it with God, but you know, it's still a good game. But as a Cohen, there were very strict rules about how we had to behave. And I would have been taken out and stoned for some of my premarital activity. And as a teen, in fact, I was out and stoned. But not in the biblical sense. But in my family, you had to be sexually active just to fit in. Moving on from the dad material, I eventually married a Kiner. That's where I get the Andrea CK. And Kiner is German for nothing, which is more or less what I got out of the marriage, except for 4 beautiful children. So in all, my name actually means human priest of nothing. Now in Buddhism, that's a very big compliment. But in Judaism, it's actually a very clever insult for people that weren't ready to see women rabbis. So she's a priest of nothing. Gesundheit. Go, be happy, you know. So, maybe I should have ended with the Buddhism line. That got a better laugh. I'll try it out. Ron, my ex, and I, we had a bad marriage, but an excellent divorce. We would have made a good podcast, but our marriage was doomed from the start. My love language was baking from scratch, and his was Betty Crocker. He was an early adopter of GPS, and I used ESP. I married young, shortly after reading all those fairy tales, and I kissed that thing again and again, and it stayed a frog. I do think our neuroses matched, and that kept us together for quite a long time. Fear of sole custody was also a motivating factor to stay together. Children were young, we had 4. And we really stayed together for quite a long time because, in truth, both of us were really interested in surfacing and identifying all my faults. My family has a history of marrying terrible guys and then taking them on as a home improvement project over the decades of marriage. My grandma, Leah, married Ben, and she actually had a tic. She had a neurological disorder, and we just always thought that she was going, where the heck is that Ben? And it went unidentified, her neurological disorder. I found out because I have it too. It's called, if people in your family shake, you're going to shake. So, Grandma had the shakes. It's called familial shakes. There you go. Now, my mom married an overweight, kind of mean, sarcastic, bearded mafioso. And I was not going to make that mistake. I married a kind of overweight, bearded, sarcastic, a little bit mean college professor. I felt safer. Less chance of getting whacked at Trinity College, you know. My daughter, I have to say, my older daughter completely broke the mold. She married a wonderful lesbian. Ta-da. So, you're about to see a premiere of the world premiere of a sketch called Republicans in Human Form. In this scene, Cassie enters an airport chapel that she believes is empty, only to find two other occupants, one living and one dead.
My mother tried to suffocate me. Not when I was a baby, like most parents, but just the other day. My mother tried to suffocate me just the other day. If I keep saying it, does it get funnier?
It does not.
My God, you scared me. I didn't know anyone was here. I had just about jumped out of my skin.
Jumped out of your skin. Could you demonstrate?
It's a figure of... Yeah, never mind. Sorry, sometimes I use this airport chapel when I'm flying because it's rarely occupied. I didn't mean to disturb your worship.
Worship?
You know, your prayer. That's why most people visit a chapel.
I am here waiting for my flight, reading your materials.
My materials? The Bible. You're reading the Bible. Okay.
Why do you repeat the sentence about your mother?
I'm practicing stand-up. You know, comedy. I'm on my way to a conference. I'm going to get to do a gig. But I should get out of your... Oh my God. What happened? Who is that? What's wrong?
That one perished.
Perished? What did you...
I did nothing to harm her. She blew the oxygen out of her nose until she perished. Chew! Chew!
Are you saying she sneezed to death?
I am saying it.
How horrible. Did you call for the EMTs or TSA or whatever?
There is nothing to be done. Your species requires oxygen.
My species. Right. What planet are you from, big dude?
That one. Republican.
Okay, I wasn't asking party affiliation, but that's good to know. I was joking about planets, you know, species.
Yes, I am a Republican.
So what really happened to her?
She resisted. A Republican attempted to reside within her body. She refused accommodation.
Wow, that raises so many questions.
Naturally, we Republicans arriving here on your world require residence in human forms.
Naturally.
We enter you, we take up residence inside your bodies through a procedure by which you and we come together. We dominate, you remain present, aware of us, we animate you.
Animate. Based on you, my robotic friend, animate is not what you're doing. We're already animated. You're like a classic alien from outer space type dude. How do you enter?
Through the nose.
Yuck.
Republicans have found that most humans try to accommodate us. At first, they seem excited by our arrival. Then they begin to struggle. They become depressed. Finally, they give up.
Sounds like marriage.
What is marriage?
The procedure by which two humans come together. So this woman, she didn't give up. Give in?
She chose to perish.
She must have felt so violated. She hated it so much. She couldn't...
What is hate?
It's a feeling of wishing someone would perish.
Yes, this one sneezed her Republican from her nose.
That must have felt great, though. Her last moment blowing that invader out, the Republican was toast. Perished too?
No, if one host rejects us, we find another. The host perishes, the Republicans live. I am in this host now.
Oh, it was you trying to inhabit her body. And the only one she managed to kill was herself.
Correct.
It's so sad. So, why are you here? Why are you invading our world?
You invited us.
Not to play devil's advocate, but...
The devil doesn't need an advocate. The devil is quite well speaking for himself.
You know the devil.
Yes, he animates your leader.
Our leader, he's one of you. Is that why he's orange?
Yes, he's the orange one.
Wow, okay, well, yeah, it's been nice talking to you, but maybe I better get out of here. I mean, I need to work on my material before my flight, you know?
About your mother suffocating you?
That's right.
Who is your mother?
Her name is Marjorie Taylor.
Ah, the green one.
What? You're kidding. My mother is a Republican? She used to be so nice.
Not anymore.
So that's why she tried to kill me. Any other elected officials?
Many. For example, the yellow one.
Right, and his name on planet Earth?
Charles Schumer.
That makes sense of some things, but he's not a Republican.
He is. He accommodates. Those who accommodate us live.
And the rest of us sneeze to death.
There are many ways to perish.
How true. Do you have a name? A color?
I am the beige one.
You really are. And the guy whose body you're taking possession of, he must have an ID, a plane ticket. What's his name?
Bill.
That works too. Well, how do you do, Bill? I'm Cassie.
Cassie, is that a color?
Nuh-uh. So if you're color coding, there are just a few of you. You don't come for all of us.
We don't need to be many to take over your world.
How long have you been here? I mean, not you personally. You're obviously just off the boat. But the rest of you, you're kind.
In your materials, I have discovered that you have long known about us. It seems we have been here before.
The Bible? I haven't actually read it. It says something about you?
Yes, there's a record of our existence. It is called P-Psalm.
It's Psalm. The P is silent.
Psalm 135, I will read. They have mouths but cannot speak. They have eyes but cannot see. They have ears but cannot hear, nor is there breath in their mouths. Those who fashion them, all who trust in them, shall become like them.
Zombies.
Republicans.
It says that in the Bible? Interesting. She got the audiobook. Hey, I wonder if God reads it. Okay, never mind. Wow. It does sound like you, doesn't it?
That is us.
Where are you flying today? What does it say in Bill's ticket?
The destination airport is Dulles.
Dulles. Yeah, it's the place for you.
What is your destination?
As far as possible in the opposite direction.
Where would that location be?
A place where we can figure out a way to blow you out of ourselves that doesn't kill us.
There is no way. You will perish.
Hell, I will. How would you even know? You don't seem very informed about much of anything.
We are gathering information. We are the Department of Get Everything.
Doge. Makes sense. But there is a way, there must be a way. We'll figure it out. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to return to working on my routine. My mother tried to suffocate me the other day. She's a Republican.
That sketch was written by Christine Benvenuto. The actors are Vanessa Query and Shannon Shabbat. We have one more act. which is an ensemble piece, and guess who's in the ensemble? You, yes you. Before I bring them on, can you guys make the dead person go away? I just want to reiterate that people are welcome to drop into our workshops on the fourth Thursdays. Again, 4 to 6, so easy ride home early in the evening. And you can get on LAVA's mailing list to hear about those workshops when they come up. And you can write to them at info@thelavacenter.org, and they will pass your name along to me, and I'll send you reminders if that's something you just like to come and try. We really have fun. It's low pressure. So I think without further ado, we're going to engage all of you guys in the next act. And I'd like to bring our impresario, Henry Balzerini, to lead the band.
Hi. Hi. Now, we had a symphony, but we're going to finish with a symphony. But I need four instruments. I need some people to come up here. I can see that, I can hear the thoughts going on in your heads. They're starting to leave. Can I have a raise of hand for anyone who's brave enough to want to do a little bit of improv? And I'll tell you what you're going to be doing is it's going to be very similar to what we did before. I'm going to conduct you, only it's going to be a little simpler in that you're each going to have an emotional sound. That's easy, right? Yeah. To the audience. See some eye. Now, I will take volunteers. And I'll take one volunteer. Come on. Let's have a hand. Oh, and we have another volunteer. They're running up. You better hurry up if you want to come up here. Anybody back there? Come on up. And we need one more person. In the back. Come on up. Is this a male person? No, it's a female person.
Does it really matter? That decision?
No, we have to have.
We need you. We need someone with dark.
As long as we have humans, that's all that I care
I'm a
about.
human, I qualify.
Yes. All right. So now, what we need are four emotions. Things like sadness, happiness, joy, overwhelm.
Hysteria.
Hysteria. Thank you. Very good one.
Ecstasy.
Hysteria. All right. Hysteria. Ecstasy.
Confusion.
Confusion. Confusion.
Well, that won't be hard.
And one more very special emotion. Embarrassment.
Good.
Now, let's just test it out. I would like you to tell us your emotion and give us a sound for that emotion.
Remind me. Hysteria.
Hysteria.
Hysteria. I thought it was confusing.
Hysteria.
Let us hear a sound that would, to you, would connote hysteria. Is that good? Very good. All right. Tell us your emotion.
Very similar, I bet. Go for it.
Be ecstatic, Marcia.
What'd you say?
Be ecstatic.
Oh.
What sound would you make if you were in ecstasy? A little louder.
That was very quiet.
She's a quiet. Okay.
Yeah, go for that.
Our next emotion. Confused. What would be a confused sound? Okay, good. We're going to work with that. Good. And now, for your sound,
I'm embarrassed.
which is embarrassed, that's very good. Now, of course, we will also have a chorus. We will have a refrain. And the refrain is going to be a happy sound. Like, ah. Like, just like, So when I say 3, I want to hear the happiest ah that you can give me. 1, 2, 3. That brings out ecstasy in me. All right, so here's my conducting, and I'm going to put this down. When I point to you, I want to hear your sound. Now, if I want your sound to be louder, I'll go like this. Softer, I'll go like this. And if I want to stop it, I'll do this. Okay. So, work. Okay.
Oh, Marty.
Where am I? Thank you all for coming. The audience has the last word.